loves. Hi loves, and welcome back to my channel. Like the title suggests, and this is a video about how to make your makeup last underneath a mask. Now, why am I qualified to make this video? I know I've mentioned in other videos before that I am a medical professional. I don't know though that I have ever mentioned that I am actually a CRNA, which means I work in anesthesia, which means I work in the operating room all day long. 5 days a week, 8, 10, 12, 16 hours a day, I am in the operating room in a surgical mask. And I pretty much wear a full glam face to work every day. So I think the fact that I work in the operating room every day under a mask and have for nearly 10 years now definitely qualifies me to make this video. I really hope you can learn some tricks from this video about how to make your makeup last under this mask, since I'm afraid that this might be our new normal for a while. If some skill that I have developed over time can help any of you, then that would make me so happy. Now, I don't normally wear such an intense smoky eye as this to work. This video is actually a two-part video. So while I did my face and foundation and skin for this video, I did my eyes for another video where I am attempting to recreate Natasha Denona's signature smoky eye using her Biba palette, following a tutorial that she posted on her Instagram stories. If you're interested in seeing me recreate this eye look and seeing how close I actually came to Natasha's version, I will link that video down below. I'm not sure which video will get posted first, but when they're both up, there will be a link. I really hope you go check it out. If you're not a subscriber to my channel already, please consider subscribing and give this video a thumbs up. If you already subscribed, thank you very much. It is a true honor. So if you want to see my routine that I use every day to keep my makeup on under my mask, then keep watching. Okay, so I already have all of my skincare on, and it's been sitting for a while. It usually sits for at least 10 or 15 minutes, but at this point today it's been on here at least half an hour. So now for primer. The first primer I like to go in with is the MAC Prep and Prime Refined Skin Zone. And I literally just use it right where I have fairly large pores. So I just put one dot on the side of each side of my nose, my chin, and my forehead, and just pat these in. And I don't know that this helps at all with the longevity. This just has more to do with my pores, but it is something I do, so I'm including it. So that's patted in real good. Next, I would put a primer under my eye. I always start with the Becca Anti-Fatigue Under Eye Primer. If you've tried this in the past and you hated it, try just barely touching your finger to it, like not rubbing in, just barely touching your finger, and I just pat that little bit right under my eye. So next I go in with my gripping primer. I really like both the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip and the CoverFX gripping primer. However, I find that if I'm going to use my Milk Blur Stick on my pores, that sometimes it likes to peel over the Milk primer. So for that reason, I'm going to use the CoverFX today. So I squeeze out enough to cover my face, maybe too much, I don't know. Kind of rub it between my fingers. And this particular primer, the instructions say to pat all over your face. And I do that. Does it matter? I don't know. I do know the patting action does seem to kind of bring out the tackiness in this primer. Okay, so now I feel like while this primer is kind of setting up, my Becca Under Eye Primer has set up. So then I go in with one or two other primers, either the Becca Under Eye Brightening Correcting Primer or the Charlotte Tilbury Color Corrector. Been a little under the weather lately, I feel like, for a while. So I think I'm gonna go in with the brightening today. You might think the color corrector would be better, but Not only do my eyes, I feel like look really dark, but they seem dry and tired to me also. And this just has a creamier formula. Same thing, I just barely touch my finger in it, just like 2 pats. And then I just pat this all under my under eye. This is like pretty creamy. So I kind of give it some extra few pats to kind of get it really blended in there. So the CoverFX primer has had time to set up, so now I go in with the Milk Blur Stick. I don't rub this on my face. Just twist it up, and I just take 2 fingers, rub across it some, and then start kind of mashing it like a mash motion into the areas of my face where my pores are enlarged. And the blur stick really has nothing to do with longevity. So if you don't think you have anything on your face that needs blurring, skip the blur stick. Okay, so once all of my primers are on, I like to go in with a little bit of powder over the primer. I find that any really finely milled powder will work. I think it does need to be very finely milled. Lately, I've been using my Chinese New Year Giorgio Armani highlighting face palette is what they call it. It's a pressed powder. They call it highlighting, but I mean, it doesn't highlight. It is very, very finely milled, and honestly, I bought this because it was a Chinese New Year's version, and I can't use it for anything else, so I've been using it for this. But any finely milled powder will do. So just pick this up, and I just kind of brush it all over my face. I'm using a large fan brush right now. Sometimes I use a loose powder brush. It really doesn't seem to matter. Just kind of get the powder all over your face. Okay, so now for foundation. There are 4 different foundations that will use from time to time for this. The Huda Beauty Faux Filter. This is a serious foundation, as we all know. I really like the Christian Dior 24 Hour. This is the 24 Hour High Perfection Skin Caring Foundation. It's not, there's one that's like illuminating or something, or radiant or something like that. It is not that one. I feel like I've gotten where I constantly feel like I have a little hair tickling me right here. It drives me crazy. There's nothing on my face. Of course, tried and true Estee Lauder Double Wear and the Lancome Tint, I don't know how to say it, the Ultra Wear, the Lancome Ultra Wear. All of these work really great. For today, I'm gonna use the Huda because honestly, if I have like a 16-hour shift, I find that this one holds up the best. So this is the one we're gonna use today. I have 2 different shades, a Toasted Coconut and a Latte. Toasted Coconut is the lighter of the 2. I think it's probably the best match right now, but we'll see. I like to dab it around my face first. Kind of really mash it into my nose just because the side of my nose right here is my like problem area. It's where like if I just buff a foundation over my pores right there, it will not stick. I'm just gonna use my BK Beauty 106 brush and start out by just buffing this foundation into my face. Can't believe my hair has got to the point where I have to hold it up off of my head. I'm convinced that certainly the root of my hair will be longer than the color I had in my hair when I can finally get a haircut again or get a cut in color again. However, I had said recently that I would be curious to see how much gray there was in my hair at this point. I guess I'll get to find out. I'll probably cut all the blonde out and see how all the salt and pepper looks. It'd be interesting if our current situation gets me into a natural hair look. That'd be funny. Okay, I'm just gonna dab that brush and what's left in the palette and I'm just stamping it into right in the center of my face, kind of where the mask touches and also where I tend to need more coverage. I'm just stamping. Really stamping that foundation into my face. And I'm gonna go in with a beauty sponge. I like this Sonia Cusack. I should have looked at the spelling so I know exactly how to say it, but I didn't. Sponge for this, just because usually I'm in a hurry and this covers a lot of space. And I'm just using this to feather pound or mash that foundation into my skin and blend out any imperfections from the brush. But to be quite honest, that BK Beauty 106 foundation brush is so awesome. It, like, I should have showed you, I guess. There's like no streaking on your face. God, I hope this foundation isn't a horrible match. It doesn't look like it, but I'm just blending, blending, blending. Down in my nose some. I always gonna go ahead and just blend over the edges of my lips. So for concealer, your mask really doesn't touch the under eye area at all. So if you have a concealer that you love on the under eye area, but it's like not this concealer, then I would say use it. The mask more touches, if you put concealer down here on your pores of your nose, that's where your mask is going to touch, or if you're putting it on your chin. And I do put a little over my pores right here just because it does help minimize the swimming pools on my face. I have been loving lately the Pat McGrath concealer. It is very thick and very emollient, so I just put a little bit right here. That'll probably cover just about my entire under eye area, but I do put a little more just out over these pores and down my smile line. And then I have a lot of texture right here from scarring, so I just kind of rub that right here. This is light medium 8. I've had the hardest time finding the right color. I have light medium 8, light medium 9, and I have light 6. I got light 6 thinking it would be a good highlight shade. I think honestly all of the shades I have are just a little too light. But the tone of the light medium 8 and the light medium 9, I don't find that there's an incredible difference in the color of the two, but the tone, the undertone of this light medium 8 seems more matching to my skin tone than the light medium 9. So then I like to take my IT Cosmetics airbrush double-ended complexion brush and just use it to kind of start buffing this concealer into my skin just a little bit. Okay guys, so my camera just randomly stopped recording and I think you missed a little bit of the concealer blending. I've gone in with my Pat McGrath concealer brush that launched when the concealer did. So I'm using it because I like the shape of it a lot to blend in this inner corner at the side of my nose and then blend this outside corner because I have quite a bit of darkness out here. And then after I've patted this in and there's only just some like residue left on the brush, I kind of bring it across. I find that at my age, I like to just have a much lighter coating of concealer under my eye right there in that portion. Right, so I'm going to go in with a smaller version of that first beauty sponge and just go over where I kind of buffed it into my face with a brush and just make sure it's all blended in and smoothed out. So now that the foundation and concealer are all blended in, this next step might be the most important step for ensuring the longevity of your foundation under your mask. And it's the setting spray. And not just any setting spray, guys. I'm sorry, but the one that works is the Huda Beauty. I know you either love or hate this setting spray. I know the fragrance is a lot, but this is what works. This is what keeps my makeup on under my mask. None of the others do it. Now granted, I wear my mask and it's a surgical mask, so maybe it's a little, it's not tight like you see on the news right now where people are getting marks on their face. It's not like that. Might be a little tighter than a cloth mask. And I am at work for 12, 16 hours sometimes, but I'm not in a mask all of that time. Like I might be in a mask 8 hours, 10 hours of the day. But that's still a long time. And it's up and down. It's usually not continuous. Anyway, this is what works. I'm telling you, this one. Now for those of you that just cannot stand the smell and you hate it, I might possibly have a solution for you. What you do, shake it up. If you really hate the smell, take the setting spray, take a beauty sponge. This is just the one I got it with my BK Beauty brushes, and spray the sponge. Soak that sponge down and pat it onto your face. I find that hopefully I don't find the smell as noticeable when I do it this way. And it really gets that setting spray on your face. So if you can't stand the smell, and that's what keeps you from using the setting spray, just try this technique. I'm really trying to concentrate on the areas of my face where this mask touches, across my nose and my cheeks.
Just be sure to cover your entire face with the setting spray.
What little bit of residue is left on here, I'm gonna smooth out my under eye and lightly pat that. If you don't want to pat it right under your eye, then don't. Your mask doesn't touch there. Okay, and just for good measure, because I don't mind the smell, I'm gonna spray my face also. Okay, so foundation's on, concealer is on, and setting spray is down. Now for loose powder. So any loose powder might do here, whatever your favorite loose powder is. I like to use the Jeffree Star just because I feel like for me it really does a good job at making the swimming pools that dermatologists would call pores on my face disappear. So I just dump some out in the lid, take my Blenderful, any puff will do, and just start pressing it into my face where my pores are the largest. I used to use a damp beauty blender for this step, but I was watching a Robert Welch video one day, and if you don't know who he is, you should really check him out. He is amazing. And he pointed out that the technique of using your damp beauty blender to do this, I just realized I didn't set it under my eyes. We'll do that in a second because I don't normally talk and put on my makeup. Anyway, Robert Welch pointed out that when you use a wet beauty blender for your loose powder, you're making that loose powder slightly damp. I'm sure you all can picture what a loose powder does when you get it slightly wet. And I just could not imagine that that ultimately was a good look on my skin. So I stopped doing that. I just use a poof now, really mash it in. Normally I would go in right away and start buffing that out, but since I forgot to do my under eye powder, we're gonna do that right now. I like to use the Pat McGrath powder that launched with her concealer. I would love to tell you what Skin Fetish Sublime whatever powder this is called, but as you can see, the label has completely rubbed off the bottom of mine. I think my other shade has done this too. This is in the shade Light. It is white, and I was terrified when I saw this online. The light actually is fine. It's perfect. So just take a small brush. This happens to be my Sonia G Mini Cheek. Just pick up a little of this powder. This powder is amazing. It is so smooth and finely milled. Sometimes I'll even take the medium, not for under a mask, but in kind of use it as a little bit of a setting powder. It's just gorgeous. Even though I've set my under eye with that, lightly with that setting spray, I'm still gonna kind of pat it out. Try to get any line smoothed out, and then I'm just gonna pat this powder under my eye. And hopefully you can tell that just kind of brightens your under eye just a little bit, but that white it's not too light at all, and it's just beautiful. All right, so after I put the loose powder on with the poof, I'd go in with a loose powder brush, pick up just a little bit. This happens to be my BK Beauty 104 brush. Normally I use my La Mer powder brush for this, but it is actually drying right now because I washed it today. Just gonna pat some of that on and then just buff this all over my face. So that's pretty much the end of my routine for my foundation and setting my foundation and my concealer. At this point, I would move on to bronzers, blushes, do my eyes, and I don't believe that any of those products or the choice of those products or the application of those products determine longevity on your face under a mask. I think it's what you do once you have all that on to finish up the look that helps determine the longevity of your makeup. So I'm gonna go off camera and get all that done real quick, and then I'll come back and we'll finish up the setting of the face. Okay guys, so I do have my face done, all except for my lips, and then setting everything. No, I don't normally go in quite this dark and smoky with an eye look for work. Actually, for the eye portion of this shot of video I tried to follow a Natasha Denona smoky eye look. I'm not sure which video will go up first, but I will definitely link that video down below once I get it ready. But no, my eyes aren't quite normally this dark and smoky for the hospital. Anyway, I digress. So I'll list all the products I used on my face down below. All we have left really are the lips and setting. The lips are fairly important if you're going to be wearing your mask and then taking your mask off, say when you get into a restaurant or when you get in somewhere else. You definitely do not want your lipstick smearing all over your face, and your mask will do that. There's a couple of different long wearing lip liners out on the market. I've really been enjoying the Christian Audette. This happens to be one of her collaborations with Mel Thompson. This one is in the shade Kitten. I'm choosing to do a very light neutral lip today. Number one, because that's how Natasha finished out this look in her video. And number two, I just find that the more nude shades are more forgiving under a mask. Just trust me on this, okay? If for whatever reason you think you need a bold lip, I would not put it on until I got to where I was going. That's just my advice. You can try it. Anyway, that's what I'd say. So we're gonna line our lips with lip liner first. And for this, I am gonna fill my lips in. It does help with longevity. Okay, my lips are all filled in with the liner. Really kind of press that liner down. It also allows it to kind of dry a little bit. I want to give it a moment to dry onto my lips. Okay, once I feel like that's had a minute to set up, then I'm going to go in with a liquid lip over this. There are several liquid lips that I use under my mask. They all work really great. I love the Maybelline SuperStay Matte Ink. These are great. Lots of colors. They're very affordable. Don't go on super thick with them. A lighter coat is better. Kind of mash your lips together. Give these a chance. These are going to be a little tacky at first. They need to kind of set up. But these stay on really well under your mask. Another one is the L'Oreal Infallible, the Pro Matte liquid lipstick. Same thing as the Maybelline. Go a little light. Mash together, give them a chance to set up. Both of these drugstore options work really well. I am, however, going to use the third one that I really like just because the color of this is better for the look I'm trying to achieve. The Huda Liquid Matte Lipsticks. I'm going to be going in with the shade Sugar Mama. I always, when I first take it out, just wipe some excess off on the end of the tube and I always do the center of both lips before I go into the edges. Give that a second to set up. While that is setting up, before we go in with gloss, we can go ahead and set our face. And basically, this step is the same as the right after foundation step. Once again, the one and only. I don't know what to call it, like the GOAT when it comes to long wear setting spray, but this is it, y'all. Okay, so I did want to give you guys a little demonstration with the foundation. We have the Huda, the Dior, the Estee Lauder, and the Lancome. So, going to spray the sponge with the Huda and start dabbing that on. And then I am going to give my arm a quick little spray. Fan it dry. Feels pretty dry. I'm gonna take just a small cotton round, and I'm not gonna scrub. I probably could scrub, but I'm not gonna do that because your mask isn't gonna scrub your face. I'm just gonna lightly go back and forth. I am touching my skin. All right, that's where I was rubbing on the Huda, and this is the cotton swab, or round. It's really terry cloth. And then on the Dior, I am rubbing my skin. I promise I'm not trying to fool you guys. There's the Dior and the cotton, the terry round. Lancome. I'm sorry, the Estee Lauder. And then finally the Lancome. And just because I've already shown you this and showed you it really did not rub off, I'm going to do this. Do you see that? I'm telling you, the setting spray is where it's at. I know you might not like the smell, but for the purpose of these wearing the mask situation, you can't beat it. And then, if you so choose, if it doesn't bother you, quick spray and fan. Okay, there we have it. Now I feel like my liquid lip is fairly dried down, so I'm going to go in with a gloss. The best gloss that I find for longevity, the only gloss that I have found that I will wear under a mask. If y'all know some more, please let me know. The only true gloss, not shiny liquid lip or anything, but the only true gloss I will wear under a mask is Buxom. Only one. I'm going to go in with the shade Ashley. And you don't have to use the gloss. I mean, you can just go with this and be done with it. And then you don't have to worry about what the gloss might do. And it does take this gloss a couple of minutes to dry down, so don't put your mask on right away. But anyway, so yeah, that's how I do my makeup every day to wear under my mask. And I have for years. It stays on beautifully. And I really hope this video has been helpful for you guys. If you try these techniques and it works for you, oh my God, I'd be so excited to hear about it. Please let me know down below. If you have some tips or secrets, comment down below. Let everybody hear about it. But yeah, that's how I get a full glam face that stays 12, 16 hours under my mask all day long. I hope you maybe picked up a trick or two that will help you make your makeup last underneath the mask. I really hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing. Please be nice and subscribe. Don't be mean and don't subscribe. Give me a thumbs up, not a thumbs down. Come on now. Anyway, for those of you that do already subscribe, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And until next time, loves. Mwah.